Hey guys, it's Tyler Stroik from Universal Rackets, and today in this video we are going to talk about how 5 inches at the kitchen can completely change your game. Once again, in this video I'm going to teach you how 5 more inches at the kitchen will completely change your game. I'm going to be explaining to you why you need these 5 extra inches as well as how to get it. Many players, beginner, intermediate, and club level players, they don't use these tips and they end up hitting more defensive neutral balls when if they had this extra 5 inches, they can hit more offensive balls. So stay tuned for this whole video, learn tips and tricks to implement into your own pickleball game. Let's go. So before we explain what the 5 inches actually is, let's explain something really quick. In pickleball, when you are hitting up, you are defensive or neutral. In pickleball, when you are hitting down, you are offensive. The whole goal of pickleball is to hit balls in an offensive position, which means I'm hitting the ball from high to low, rather than hitting balls in the defensive position from low to high. Now, what does it mean? The closer the ball gets to me with gravity, the lower I am going to hit the ball. Once again, a ball that's this high out in front might be here, but if I let that ball travel to me, especially with gravity and topspin, it might be here. Here is offensive, here is defensive. When I dink a ball that comes to me on the bounce, it's going to bounce, and it's not a bouncy ball, it's going to bounce lower than the height that it came at, right? So if the ball bounces, it's going to bounce even lower. I'm going to have to hit up on the ball. If I hit a volley in the air, that's when I can hit down on the ball. So that is to get you warmed up. You have to understand those concepts. Again, a ball in the air, I can either hit high, offensive, swinging down, or neutral. A ball that is a dink, it is neutral or defensive, because the only way that I can get my dink over the net is to what? To hit the ball up over the net into my opponent's kitchen. Guys, that's why they invented the dink in pickleball. That's why you can't stand inside the kitchen and smash the ball down, because you would be hitting too many offensive shots. So what does this mean, this extra 5 inches that you're talking about? Tyler, what do I mean? I mean, when you're at the kitchen, a lot of players, they can only take the ball out of the air here. I'm going to give you an extra 5 inches, so now you can take the ball at a higher point, be more aggressive, and hit the ball further inside the kitchen. That's what I mean, guys. Again, if I don't have these 5 inches, and this is what many players do, they stand here and they'll take the ball super low. No, I'm going to give you these 5 inches so now you can, again, be aggressive and take the ball out of the air further into the kitchen. So let's get started with the tips. So the first tip that I'm going to give you is learn how to lean over the kitchen. Yes, you can't be in the kitchen while hitting the ball. Yes, you can't hit the ball in the air and then fall into the kitchen, because then you would be in the kitchen. But what you can do is you can lean over the kitchen and take the ball out of the air. A lot of players, they are hesitant to do that. They think the only time that they can take a ball out of the air is when the ball is right to them. They wait until here instead of going out here. So the first thing that I want you to do is have the mindset that you're going to go out and lean over the kitchen every single time. Once again, you're going to go out, you're going to drill with your partner, drill with your coach, wherever you are, and you're going to have one mental note during this drilling section or exercise, and that is what? To take the ball out of the air as far as possible. Now, how do we ensure that we take the ball out of the air as far as possible? It's very easy. A lot of players, they might try to think that they're taking the ball out of the air and leaning over the kitchen, but they're not putting themselves in the best position from the start. And what do I mean? I mean ready position. A lot of players don't have that extra 5 inches because their paddle is close to their body. When I have my paddle close to my body, I'm going to make contact close to my body. Once again, if my paddle is close to my body, everyone, I am going to make contact close to my body. So how can I instantly get those extra 5 inches? It's very simple. I'm going to start with my paddle away from my body. By keeping my paddle away from my body, that's going to make contact away from the body. Again, now I'm going to be able to hit the ball out here versus here. That is such a big difference, and you're going to win many more points. So again, just to review so far, number one, we are making the mental note. We're even drilling in a situation that we have to lean over the kitchen. Mental note number two, what are we doing? Or tip number two, I'm extending with my arms straight out. Now, if you guys feel comfortable with extending your arms straight out and leaning over the kitchen, very easy. I am going to give you another huge tip. We are going to double the amount. I know I said 5 inches. I like to keep things small, no pun intended, but hey, we're going to give you 10 inches right now because you stuck through this whole video. You ready? Ready? Okay, cool. So I'm fully extended, just like you told me, Tyler. Okay, I'm leaning over the kitchen. I have that mental note. And again, make sure we're not backing up. A lot of players, they keep their hands in here. Maybe they're making contact, not over the kitchen, but then many players are moving back behind the kitchen. I always want to keep my feet at the kitchen line. Now, for players that are just picking the game up, the sport up, what are we going to do? We're going to have our weight in our heels, right? So we cannot be moving so much, not unnecessary movements, as well as not falling into the kitchen. But once you have the confidence and the discipline to not go into the kitchen and not make too many unnecessary movements, I want you to shift your weight into your toes. Again, when you start out in pickleball, weight in the heels all the time. That's what we teach at Universal Rackets. Make sure your weight's in your heels, ready position, paddle up and out in front, right? But if you want to get more advanced, you are going to shift your weight to your toes. Now you're being more aggressive. Okay, we're maybe at 6, 6.5, all right? You ready to get to 10? Very easy. If I'm standing straight up like a tin soldier, look where I can go leaning over the kitchen. Now, the further I get into my legs, the more I drop my center of gravity. Look how far I can go out. Again, I'm standing straight up, right? Now I'm dropping my center of gravity. I'm sitting back like I'm sitting into a squat. Now I am able to double the amount that I can lean over and hit the ball in the air. That's also going to give you a more consistent, more compact swing because you have dropped your center of gravity. Many players, what they're doing is that they're hitting here and they're moving their body everywhere. That's not good. No, I want to stay super compact, legs in, and I just want to let my paddle go. That is going to give you that extra 10 inches while you're at the kitchen. Again, I want you to think that a ball is coming before I didn't even reference this until after we gave you the first tips of what? Leaning over and keeping your paddle out, but before we might have been moving back on the bounce. Again, I have to hit that ball either neutral or defensive, and I'm going to give my opponent an opportunity. Maybe before we were doing this, so we're here, but again, we're only taking balls out of air when they're close to us. Maybe if this ball was further in, what are we going to do? We're going to let the ball bounce, and again, we have to hit the ball up, and we are neutralizing the point. We can't hit offensive because I have to swing up over the net, or I might hit the ball up too high to my opponent and they're going to smash the ball down. Now, what are we doing? Instead of letting that ball bounce, now we are leaning over, dropping our center of gravity, and we are taking that ball out of the air every single time. Now I can be way, way, way more aggressive when I hit, and I can win more points. Now, the best drill to do possible is you're going to do this. You're going to get some type of target. You are going to put it out inside of the kitchen. So I have the Project 006 Tour. If you want this paddle, make sure you click the link in the description. Use our promo code ADV-Universal to get it. And also, I have a super secret paddle right here. I can show it to you, I can tease it, but I cannot talk about it yet. But make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, because as soon as we are allowed to talk about this awesome new Selkirk paddle that I can't put down, we're going to be writing all about it in the newsletter. So again, if you subscribe to our newsletter, we will make sure that you're the first one to hear about this amazing new paddle. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to put a target or a paddle or something out in front of the kitchen. The reason why we're going to do that is because if the ball bounces anywhere at or behind a target, typically what would we do without this video? We would be here, we would be letting the ball bounce, we might make contact here, right? Now what we are doing is we're trying to take the ball out of the air every single time that ball either ends up at the target or behind the target. So again, maybe before we're letting the ball bounce and again, we're popping it up. Now we are leaning over, and again, we are taking the ball out of the air. So you can do this with yourself, you can go drill with a partner, and again, you cannot have that ball touch either the paddle or behind it off the bounce. You're going to lean over every single time. Now what you're going to do, once you get into those tips more, you're going to start feeling it, you're going to get that confidence that you're taking the ball out of the air even more, you're going to push the target back. So maybe I start out right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it even further. So I'm going to double it. Now maybe again, I'm getting more than 5 inches, I'm getting 6, I'm getting 7 inches. So I put it out there, and again, we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm leaning over again, I'm dropping my center of gravity, and again, I am trying to what? Take it out of the air. If the ball bounces at or behind that target, now there's more distance to cover, then I have to take it out of the air. Of course though, if it's in front of it, I don't. Now, once I feel good with that, I feel great, then what am I going to do? I'm going to extend it even more. A great drill that I like to do personally is I like to extend it as far as I can. I like to give myself unrealistic expectations. The reason why I want you to give yourself unrealistic expectations is because if you can fully extend all the way out here, or even at least try to attempt out there, what can you do? You can extend as many times as possible. You are going to extend way more than you have ever thought that you could before. You're going to break your boundaries that you thought you had. So what I mean by that is right now, the paddle's so far out in front, I'm not going to be able to make contact out there, right? There's no way, I'm not 7 feet tall, that I'm going to be able to fully extend out there, right? But what am I going to be able to do? I'm going to be able to have the mentality and get the reps that I'm going to try. So here we are. Again, I'm going to drill with someone. I'm going to set a super unrealistic expectation there. I'm going to drop my center of gravity. I'm going to get in my legs. And again, I am going to fully extend and try not to let the ball bounce. By doing that, by having that mentality, again, it's going to give me the confidence and boost my abilities to take the ball out of the air. Then another drill that I like to do, you take the target out of the way, you go and you volley with someone, and again, all you're doing is trying not to let the ball bounce. So you and your partner, you're going to be at the kitchen, and the game is to not let the ball bounce. So I'm going to dink the ball in, we're going to hit back and forth, and whoever lets the ball bounce on their side, they automatically lose. So again, I can't let the ball bounce on my side. So what does that force you to do? That forces you to try to hit shallow dinks, so their partner has to lean in further. And what does that force you to do? To make sure that you guard and hit the ball out of the air as many times as possible, because again, if you let the ball bounce, you automatically lose the point. So again, just to review, number one, we're staying at the kitchen. We're not moving back. We don't want to give up inches from the start. Now we want to get that extra 5 inches. Perfect. We have the mentality that we're leaning over. Next thing, we are dropping our center, Next thing, we're starting with our paddle out in front instead of close to our body. The next thing, we are dropping our center of gravity. We're going onto our toes, and we're trying to take as many balls out of the air as possible. If you stay tuned for this whole video, you didn't just get 5, you got 10 more inches at the kitchen, and it's going to make you win so many more points because again, instead of taking a ball as a dink and hitting the ball up in the air, you're going to be able to hit a neutral or an offensive ball and hit down on the ball. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter so you can get the first dibs on this paddle once we're allowed to talk about it. Make sure if you want any type of program in your area, you want clinics, corporate events, fundraisers, it's my personal dream to grow my company that we are the biggest community pickleball provider of the country. Make sure to fill out the form and a Universal Rackets representative will get back out to you. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure to follow me, follow my wife, the Pickle Yogi, on Instagram, and have a good one. Happy hitting. Get those 5, get those 10 more inches over the kitchen and win more points. See you guys next time.